Deep in the lands of Central America, there is a very big forest. This forest is a tropical jungle. It is warm and wet all year round. Many tall trees grow very close together in this jungle. Their leaves make a thick green blanket high above the ground. Sunlight finds it hard to reach the jungle floor. This makes the jungle a dark and mysterious place. Many different kinds of plants and animals live here. Bright birds fly among the trees and quiet jaguars walk on the soft earth. This amazing jungle holds many old secrets waiting to be found by people. For hundreds of years, this thick jungle has hidden something very special. It has kept safe the remains of incredible cities. These are not ordinary cities that we see today. These are lost cities built by a group of people called the Maya. The Maya were very clever people who lived a long, long time ago. They built their homes, their temples, and their palaces right in the middle of this difficult jungle. Imagine how hard it must have been to build such big structures with so many trees and plants all around them, always growing and trying to cover everything. These forgotten cities are like treasures hidden under the green blanket of trees and vines. For many centuries, only the jungle knew they were there. The trees grew over the stone buildings. The roots of plants pushed between the great stone blocks. Animals made their homes in the empty rooms and courtyards. People who came later did not always know about these grand places. They saw only hills covered in green, not realizing that underneath were pyramids and palaces. The jungle protected these cities, but it also made them very hard to find and study. Today, brave explorers and scientists called archaeologists go into this jungle. They carefully cut away the plants. They dig in the earth to find what is hidden. When they find these lost Mayan cities, it is like opening a window to the past. We can learn so much about the Maya people. We can see how they lived, what they believed, and what amazing things they could do. The jungle still holds many secrets, but slowly we're starting to understand the incredible story of the Maya and their magnificent lost cities, hidden so well for so long. The Maya were an ancient group of people. They lived in a large area that today includes parts of Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. Their civilization was very strong for a very long time, for more than 2,000 years. They were not just one big kingdom ruled by one king. Instead, they had many different city-states. Each city-state had its own ruler and its own important buildings. Sometimes these city-states were friends. Other times they fought wars against each other, but they all shared many similar ideas, beliefs, and ways of doing things, which we call the Mayan culture. These people were very smart and had many skills. They were excellent farmers. They learned how to grow food in the jungle, like corn, beans, and squash. Corn, or maize as they called it, was very important to them. It was their main food, and they even had gods connected to corn. They developed clever ways to manage water, building canals and reservoirs to store water for the dry season. This allowed them to support large populations in their cities. The Maya were also great traders. They traded goods like salt, obsidian, a black volcanic glass used for tools, jade and beautiful feathers over long distances. The Maya had a very complex society. At the top were the kings and queens, who were called Ahau. They were seen as powerful leaders, almost like gods. Below them were priests, who were very important because they understood religion and the calendars. Then there were nobles, warriors, and skilled craftspeople. These craftspeople made beautiful pottery, amazing sculptures, and intricate jewelry. Most of the people were farmers who worked hard in the fields to grow food for everyone. They all played a part in making the Mayan civilization strong and successful for many centuries. One of the most amazing things about the Maya was their system of writing. It was one of the most advanced writing systems in the ancient America. They used pictures and symbols called glyphs. They carved these glyphs on stone monuments, painted them on pottery, and wrote them in books made from tree bark. These books are called codices. Sadly, only a few of these codices survived. For a long time we could not read these glyphs, but now scholars have learned to understand much of the Mayan writing. This helps us learn directly from the Maya about their history, their kings, and their beliefs. The Maya were master builders. They created some of the most impressive cities in the ancient world, right in the middle of the dense jungle. Their cities were not just groups of houses. They were carefully planned centers with grand public spaces, tall pyramids, large palaces, and special ball courts. Famous Mayan cities like Tikal in Guatemala, Palenque in Mexico, and Copan in Honduras show us how skilled they were. These cities were centers of power, religion, and daily life for thousands of people. Imagine walking through these cities when they were full of life, with people moving about and ceremonies taking place. The most famous Mayan buildings are their pyramids. These were not like the pyramids in Egypt, which were mostly tombs. Mayan pyramids were often temples built on top of a stepped platform. Priests would climb the steep stairs to the temple at the top to perform religious ceremonies. Some pyramids were also built to honor important rulers, and sometimes rulers were buried deep inside them. These pyramids were huge structures, often the tallest buildings in the city. They were made of stone, and many were decorated with carvings of gods, animals, and important symbols. They showed the power of the rulers and the importance of religion. Besides pyramids, the Maya also built large buildings called palaces. These were not usually where the king lived all the time, but were more like big government buildings or places for important meetings and ceremonies. Palaces often had many rooms, courtyards, and long corridors. They were also built of stone and decorated with beautiful art. Some walls were painted with colorful murals showing scenes from Mayan life, history, or mythology. These palaces were important centers for the administration of the city-state and places where the elite members of society would gather for significant events. Another special feature of Mayan cities was the ball court. The Maya played a very important game with a solid rubber ball. The rules are not perfectly clear, but it seems players tried to hit the ball through stone hoops on the sides of the court, using only their hips, thighs, or sometimes elbows. This game was not just for fun, it had deep religious meaning. Sometimes it is believed the losing team, or even the captain of the winning team, might be sacrificed to the gods. The ball courts themselves were long, narrow playing areas with sloping or vertical walls on each side, often found near the main plazas and temples. The Maya were brilliant mathematicians. They developed a very advanced number system. It was different from the one we use today. Their system was based on the number 20, which is called a vigesimal system. We use a system based on the number 10, called a decimal system. The Maya used only 3 symbols to write any number: a dot for 1, a bar for 5, and a shell-like symbol for 0. This idea of 0 was a very big achievement. Not many ancient cultures understood the concept of 0, but it was very important for Mayan calculations and their calendars. Using their number system, the Maya created very accurate calendars. They did not have just one calendar, they had several. One important calendar was the Tzolk'in, or sacred calendar. It had 260 days. This calendar was used for religious ceremonies and to decide good days for important events, like planting crops or going to war. Another calendar was the Harb. This was a solar calendar much like ours with 365 days. It was used to track the seasons for farming. These two calendars worked together like two gears, creating a bigger cycle called the calendar round, which repeated every 52 years. The Maya also had another calendar called the long count. This calendar counted days from a starting point far in the past. It was used to record history and to look far into the future. Each day had a unique long count date. This calendar helped them track very long periods of time, much longer than the calendar round. It was the long count calendar that caused some people to worry about the year 2012, but for the Maya, it was just the end of one big cycle and the beginning of another, not the end of the world. Their understanding of time was very deep and complex. These calendars and their mathematical system show how carefully the Maya observed the world around them. They needed accurate calendars for their farming, for their religious beliefs, and for their government. Their ability to work with large numbers and to track time with such precision was amazing for an ancient civilization. These achievements in mathematics were some of the most advanced in the world at that time. The knowledge they developed helped them organize their society and understand their place in the universe, connecting their daily lives to the grand cycles of time and the cosmos. Section 5, Sky Watchers, the Maya and the stars above. You see, the Maya were, well, keen observers of the sky. They were expert astronomers, truly ahead of their time. They watched the sun, the moon, the stars, and the planets with great care. Now, they didn't have telescopes like we do today, but they used their eyes and simple tools like cross sticks to make their observations. From high atop their pyramids or from special buildings designed as observatories, they charted the movements of celestial bodies. This knowledge, it was very important to them. It was closely linked to their religion, their calendars, and even their farming practices. They really believed the movements in the sky influenced life on Earth. Now, they knew a lot about the sun. They tracked its path across the sky throughout the year. This helped them know when the seasons would change, which was vital for planting and harvesting their crops. Many of their important buildings were aligned with the position of the sun on certain important days, like the solstices or equinoxes. For example, at the city of Chichen Itza, the pyramid of Kukulkan creates a shadow serpent that crawls down the stairs during the spring and autumn equinoxes. This shows their deep understanding of the sun's movements and their skill in architecture. The Maya also paid great attention to the moon. They tracked its phases very accurately. They understood the cycle of the moon and how it related to eclipses. They could even predict solar and lunar eclipses with remarkable precision. This ability must have seemed like magic to ordinary people and would have given the priests and rulers great power. Eclipses were often seen as dangerous or important omens, so being able to predict them was a significant skill. They recorded this information in their codices, showing tables of eclipse timings that are surprisingly accurate even by today's standards. Venus was another celestial body that was extremely important to the Maya. They considered Venus to be the brother of the sun and a god of war. They tracked its movements as both the morning star and the evening star very carefully. They knew that Venus has a cycle of about 584 days. They recorded these cycles and used them to plan important events, including battles. Their knowledge of Venus was so detailed that it helped them create even more complex calendar calculations. The Maya astronomers were true scientists of their time, using observation and mathematics to understand the universe. Section 6 whispers from the past things the Maya left behind. When the great Mayan cities were slowly abandoned and reclaimed by the jungle, the people left behind many things. These objects, called relics and artifacts, are like puzzle pieces. Archaeologists find them and study them to understand how the Maya lived, what they believed, and what was important to them. These items give us a direct connection to the past. They tell stories that buildings alone cannot. Each broken piece of pottery or carved stone holds a whisper from the Mayan world, helping us to piece together their rich and complex history. One common type of artifact found in Mayan sites is pottery. The Maya were skilled potters. They made many different kinds of pots, plates, and vases from clay. Some were simple for everyday use like cooking and storing food. Others were beautifully decorated with painted scenes of daily life, religious ceremonies, myths, or even with Mayan writing. These painted vessels are very valuable because they show us what Maya people looked like, what clothes they wore, and what gods they worshipped. The styles of pottery also changed over time, which helps archaeologists date different parts of the sites. The Maya also left behind many tools and weapons. Most of their tools were made from stone, like flint or obsidian. Obsidian is a black volcanic glass that can be made very sharp. They used obsidian to make knives, spear points, and tools for carving. They also used stone to make axes for cutting trees and grinding stones for preparing corn. Finding these tools helps us understand their technology and how they managed to build their amazing cities and farm the land without metal tools, as they did not use metal for tools until very late in their history. Besides pottery and tools, archaeologists find other precious items. Jade was a very valuable stone for the Maya. It is a beautiful green stone, and they believed it had spiritual power. They made intricate jewelry, masks, and figurines from jade. These items were often buried with important rulers or nobles. They also find carvings made from bone, shell, and wood, though wood rarely survives in the damp jungle. Sometimes amazing murals painted on walls are discovered, showing vivid scenes in bright colors. All these relics help us to paint a more complete picture of the Mayan civilization and their way of life. Section 7, the big question. Where did the Maya go? One of the biggest mysteries about the Maya is why their great cities in the southern lowlands were abandoned. Around the 9th century AD, something happened. The Maya stopped building big monuments in many of these cities. People started to leave these magnificent urban centers. Over time, the jungle grew back and covered the stone pyramids and palaces. For many years, this was called the Mayan collapse. It is important to remember that the Maya people did not disappear completely. Their descendants still live in the region today, carrying on many traditions. But the classic period of grand cities did decline. There is not just one single reason why this happened. Scientists and historians believe it was likely a combination of many different problems that occurred around the same time. One idea is that there were long periods of drought. The Maya depended on rain for their farming and for drinking water. If the rains did not come for many years, it would have been very hard to grow enough food for everyone in the large cities. This could have led to famine and people moving away to find better places to live. Another theory suggests that there was too much warfare between the different Mayan city-states. We know from their writings and art that Mayan cities often fought each other. If these wars became more frequent or more destructive, it could have made life very difficult and dangerous. Constant fighting could have disrupted trade routes, destroyed crops, and led to the breakdown of society. Rulers might have lost the trust of their people if they could not protect them or provide for them. This internal conflict could have weakened the entire system. Other possible factors include overpopulation and environmental damage. Perhaps there were too many people living in the cities for the land to support. The Maya cleared large areas of forest for farming and for building materials. This deforestation could have led to soil erosion and made the land less fertile. It might have also changed local weather patterns, possibly contributing to droughts. All these problems, drought, war, overpopulation, and damage to the environment, could have worked together to cause the decline of the classic Mayan cities, forcing people to change their way of life and move to other areas. Section 8. Finding Lost Cities. New discoveries today. Even though the Mayan civilization reached its classic peak many centuries ago, the story of discovering their lost cities is still happening today. For a long time, many of these ancient places were completely hidden by the thick tropical jungle. Explorers and archaeologists had to cut their way through dense vegetation, facing difficult conditions to find these hidden gems. Early explorers in the 19th and 20th centuries brought back amazing stories and drawings of forgotten temples and palaces, sparking worldwide interest in the Maya. Their work laid the foundation for our understanding. In recent years, scientists have new tools that are helping them find even more Mayan secrets. One very exciting technology is called LiDAR. LiDAR stands for Light Detection and Ranging. It is a system that can be used from airplanes or drones. It sends down laser beams that can see through the thick jungle canopy. The laser light bounces off the ground and creates a very detailed map of the land surface. This allows archaeologists to see the shapes of buildings, roads, and even ancient farm fields that are completely hidden by trees and plants. Thanks to LiDAR, researchers have made incredible discoveries. They have found thousands of previously unknown Mayan houses, palaces, defensive walls, and canals. These findings show that the Mayan population was much larger and their cities were much more extensive than previously thought. Some areas that were once believed to be empty jungle are now known to have been densely populated and heavily modified by the Maya. This technology is like having X-ray vision for the jungle, revealing a whole hidden landscape of ancient civilization. It helps us understand the true scale of Mayan society. These new discoveries are constantly changing what we know about the Maya. Archaeologists are still working hard in the field, excavating these newly identified sites. They are uncovering more artifacts, deciphering more inscriptions, and learning more about how the Maya organized their world. Each new temple uncovered, each new glyph deciphered, adds another piece to the puzzle of this fascinating civilization. The jungle still holds many more secrets, and with new technologies and dedicated research, we continue to unveil the incredible achievements of the Maya, learning more about their lives and their legacy. Section 9. Conclusion. Remembering the Maya's great gifts. The Maya were a truly remarkable civilization. They built magnificent cities deep within the challenging tropical jungle. These cities, with their towering pyramids and grand palaces, show us their incredible skills in architecture and engineering. The Maya developed a complex society with kings, priests, and skilled craftspeople. They created a unique and beautiful style of art which they used to decorate their buildings and pottery. The things they left behind, from huge stone monuments to tiny jade beads, help us to understand their world and their way of thinking, telling a story of innovation and cultural richness. Their achievements in knowledge were truly astounding for their time. They created a sophisticated writing system, one of the few true writing systems developed in the ancient Americas. This allowed them to record their history, their beliefs, and their scientific observations. The Maya were brilliant mathematicians who understood the concept of zero and developed a complex number system. This mathematical skill allowed them to create incredibly accurate calendars. They were also keen astronomers, carefully tracking the movements of the sun, moon, and planets, and using this knowledge for farming, religion, and predicting celestial events. The mystery of why their great cities declined is still being studied, but it teaches us important lessons about how societies can be affected by things like climate change, warfare, and using resources. Even though their classic cities were abandoned, the Maya people did not disappear. Millions of Maya people live today in the same regions where their ancestors built those amazing cities. They continue to speak Mayan languages and practice traditions that have been passed down through many generations, keeping their rich cultural heritage alive in the modern world. Uncovering the secrets of the lost Mayan cities is very important. It helps us understand not just the Maya, but also the broader story of human civilization. Their achievements show the amazing things people can do, even in difficult environments. The Maya made huge contributions to our shared human heritage in areas like mathematics, astronomy, art, and writing. By studying their past, we learn more about our own potential and the importance of preserving cultural legacies. The whispers from the jungle continue to teach us, reminding us of the ingenuity and spirit of the ancient Maya.